Hello and welcome back to the channel. Going to be continuing on here, part 9. I don't know, losing track of all the parts. Potato washer conversion. In the last video, set up the LCD display and the lights here and whatever else. So now we basically need to join these together in the XML so that they know what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be controlled and whatever else. We also need to set up the actual shader that they're going to be using. So for all of these, they're going to be set up with the mesh rotate shader so that they can be controlled by the values on and off here in the XML, same as the potato plane out and in here. So material editing window, going to go into custom shader, into the potato washer shaders, and then use the converted mesh rotate shader for version 4, which works for 19. It's not a fully supported shader by 19, but it does work, at least as far as PC goes. But then global company is PC only, so console is out of the question here regardless. So, you know, as far as incompatible shaders or whatever else, it's not really that relevant for console, so should be okay to use that. I don't see why not. And we'll do the same for these ones as well. So we're going to apply the mesh rotate shader for that one and also for that one. What I would also do here is for the rotation speed in the actual giant editor, just put these to 0. Leave the speed on, that's fine, but put all these to 0. That should be okay. And what you'll notice now when we look at these is everything's invisible because it's been rotated in the opposite direction. So we're looking at the back of it, if you like. But the actual parameters we set up here in the XML will control that and then rotate it in the right direction, so it will actually be facing outwards then, and simulating the fact that it's being turned on, if you like. So we're going to create a few lines in the XML. So we'll just take one of these, doesn't really matter which one, and then we'll just paste those in. So we've got 3 extra ones here, one for the LCD screen itself, and then the lights. So take the name from here for the LCD display, put that into this one, and then we've got green light and orange light. We'll copy the names and then paste them all into here. So our on value is 1 and then our off value is 0. But what I'm going to do here is actually have, I think the orange light I'm going to set up so that it's on all the time. So I'm going to change this one here to 1 as well. So irregardless of whether the unit is on or off, the orange light will be on all the time. But the green light and the display will only be on when the unit is running. That's my personal preference. Like I said before, you could set it that the orange light, if you want to go down this road and actually set it up, then you could have the orange light turn off as the unit turns on or whatever else, up to you. But I want the orange light to stay on and then the green light to come on as well as the display as the unit starts up. So that's my personal preference. So that's that set up, and then we'll go ahead and save that. And then we need to map those. So again, we need to go down to the i3D mapping and put all these into place. So if we come down to somewhere here, I would say. Yeah, let's do it here. So we'll create a couple lines. We've got 3 in total, so we might as well just take those, put those into there, and then we can just take the names from here. So we'll just copy, paste that one into there, and copy this one, put that into there, and copy this one, and paste that into there. And then we just need to join all the indexes up. So if we take the LCD display, we'll take our index path from there, and put that into there, and do the same for the others. We'll take that, put that into there, and then this one, copy that, and put that into, whoops, wrong place, into there. Okay, so we now should have all of those parts set up to come on when we want them to come on, or stay on, or go off, or whatever else. Obviously all this would need to be tested in game to make sure that everything does work the way I've set it up here, but it should do. I don't see why it wouldn't. We know that the actual potato planes in the drum here, they do work the way I want them to, with the on-off function in the shader parameters here, so they do work. So by setting these up in a similar fashion, should be okay. Don't see why not, as I say. And then guess, so that's the shaders. Trying to think what else there might be that needs to be set up. I think we're pretty good to go on those. So I think the next thing then is going to be particles, and this is going to be very, very time consuming, this part. But it needs to be done, so we just got to go with it. So with our particle effects, originally this was using converted particles. There was sugar beet particles, but I would imagine the textures would change to work with potatoes. I don't know, but that's fine, doesn't really matter, because we're going to change all of this anyway and adapt it to work with what we wanted to work with. I guess what I might do first of all here, just to kind of make sure everything is working the way it's meant to work, because I don't like to jump ahead too fast, because you can start to go too quickly, and then what you might think is working correctly will then be covered up with particle systems, and you won't know if it's actually working the way it's meant to work, because you won't be able to see it properly. So I want to just put this back in the game quickly and make sure that the belts are now turning in the right direction. This one here was rotating in the wrong direction, and also this one here was rotating in the wrong direction. The other thing I also want to look at is we might actually adjust this now. So we know that I think, if I remember rightly, this was actually rotating that way. I think what we'll do is we'll put it in a game and we'll just have a look and see which way these things are rotating, because I can't remember if they were actually rotating in the right directions or not. I'm not sure on that. Let's what I want to do here is, if I go into this one, I'm going to change that to a 0. Yeah, I think that should be okay. Possibly. Might actually change that back to a 1. I've got a funny feeling it's actually rotating. The drum is rotating that way, not clockwise. It's rotating anti-clockwise in game. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that. I'm going to put this back in the mod folder. I'll delete these i3ds because I no longer require those for the green light and orange light. Get rid of those. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm going to put this back in the mod folder, and then we'll have a look in game and just make sure that everything is working the way I want it to work. And which way everything is rotating. We need to work out we want to have it where everything is rotating in the right direction and the same direction, because what we don't want to have here is the particles rotating in one direction and the other parts in the opposite direction. We want everything to be, moving in the same order and the same direction at the same speed and everything else, or as close as we can possibly get it anyway. So I think sometimes, as I've said many times before in the past, there's a point where you need to just get it into game and see what's happening, check for any errors. Don't do too much at once, just make some small changes here and there, and then test those out to make sure that they are actually doing what they're meant to do, and then you can move forward. Because you can do too much at once and then you won't know what part is broken, because other parts may have worked, but you've adjusted something else which has then broken what you just, other parts that you did previous. So it's a bit, backwards and forwards sometimes, in and out of game, but it is what it is. So let's purchase this, and we'll put it down like so. So it's always a good sign when you can still purchase the unit. If we come over here, it's a bit hard to see, but that orange light is illuminated, so that's good. And we have everything else where it's meant to be. Parts are not moving when they're not meant to be moving, and things are invisible when they're meant to be invisible. So we'll just again add in a couple, maybe 1,000 of each, just to get things moving along. So let's have a look, and there's our display. So our orange light is still on, a bit difficult to see, but it is. And our green light has now come on, and our display, so that's working okay. This belt is now working in the right direction, fantastic. And both of those belts are working in the right direction, also fantastic. And then we'll have a look at here. So yeah, so everything is rotating anti-clockwise. Again, a bit too fast, but that's okay. So we want to make sure that these are rotating clockwise, because as that rotates anti-clockwise, this is going to be rotating clockwise, and as that comes down, hits this, it's going to be rotating clockwise. So we need to change the rollers, the little rollers there. We do have our potato plane has come up. Can't really see it. Oh, there's the water plane. You might not be able to see it, but it is just there. So that is also working, and that has moved up just a little bit. You can just about see the edge of the little plane there for the fuel. So those are working. So it would appear that that is the case. Whatever you set them to in the Giants editor is their base value, and then it moves to a maximum of whatever you've set in the XML, so that's good to know. So I want to slow this down, so I'm going to probably set that to about 100 maybe, and then it's run out, and there we go, it stops. Okay, fantastic, so that's good. And then we might leave those at 200 because they will be working much faster than the bigger one. Yeah, so we'll do that. So we need to slow this main drum down and change the direction of those to work in the opposite direction. Right, so let's go back out of here then. We'll go back onto the desktop, and we'll have a look at what needs to be changed there. Get out of here. Wait for OBS to catch up, because it needs to do my scene change for the different sources from screen capture to game capture. It seems to be really slow doing that sometimes. We don't need that anymore, so I can get rid of that. And then we'll go into here. Right, let's go into the XML. So if we come down to here, so the main drum here, we want that to be spinning at, I'm going to say 100. And then also the moving plane, or the actual rotating planes here, we also want those to be moving at 100, because we want them to be all moving together. We don't want everything to be moving at different speeds. As far as that goes, these parts, the little rollers, I think would rotate faster because they're smaller, so they're going to need to rotate. That makes sense to my head anyway. But they need to be going in the opposite direction, so we're going to put again a negative in front of those. So the drum and the planes, the rotating planes, will be spinning at 100 in an anti-clockwise direction, and the little rollers will be rotating in a clockwise direction but at a faster speed. That's the plan anyway. Let me just think what else there was. I think that was it. I can't think of anything else that was needed to be sorted out there, because the moving planes were working okay. Our belts are now moving in the right direction. I think that is pretty much where it needs to be on that side of things. So small change again, and we'll just pop back in the game and check that that is actually now doing what it's meant to do. Because I don't want to move on to particles just yet. I want to do that in one video, because it's going to be a lot of editing of particle systems, which is going to be something I don't want to start and have to abruptly end midway through, sort of thing. I think it would be better to start that in a fresh video, so this might be a slightly shorter video in this one before we get onto the particle systems. So let's purchase this again then. And we'll just check this out. So over to here, we'll add in again, whoops, 1,000 of each just to get it all working. And then, so that's still working in the right direction. All of these are still working in the right direction. But now our drum is moving much slower. That's much better, I think, personally. And our little rollers are moving in the opposite direction, so they're moving at 200 clockwise, and this is moving at 100 anti-clockwise. That's perfect. So far so good. Yeah, so that's pretty good. We're getting a bit closer each time, I think. We have everything moving where it needs to be moving, and we have lights and things like that doing whatever they need to be doing. So what I'll do just real quickly, if I can, I want to GS set daytime. Let's do 23. There we go. And there you go. You can see there that the orange light is still on and the green light is on. So those are illuminating perfect. That's what I wanted to see. And our screen is all illuminated and everything else. That's really nice. So yeah, that's working really well. I think that's okay. We'll go with that. That should work fine. Okay, so yeah, that's good. I think we're okay with that. Let's go back to 9, something like that. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to end it on this one. So this one's going to be a little bit shorter, not too much, but a little bit shorter. But there's only so much I can do before I need to move on to the more complicated part in this video. So, like I said, I don't want to do the particles all in bits and pieces. I want to try and get them done in a bit more of a consecutive order, because they'll be a lot harder to follow along. Because there's a lot more there's a lot more involved in editing the particles and getting them set up correctly. In my experience with this so far. I'm ShyWizard. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.